Welcome back to Lucid Living. And if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you aboard. My name is Andrew Larkin. I'm an actor, model, performer, storyteller, breathwork coach. And today, I'm going to be your host, your guide for today's podcast episode. All right, my friends, like always, we got a good one today. We got an amazing guest, and I'm so stoked to dive into this conversation. But before we have this enlightening, beautiful conversation, let's start with some nice grounded breath work. So today we're going to do a 4-2-6 breath count. So that's an inhale for 4, a hold for 2, and exhale for 6. When we breathe like this, we channel the parasympathetic. So usually when you inhale shorter than your exhale, it allows the body to calm down, gets in that rest and digest state of mind. So we're going to do this for 3 rounds. And remember, as we inhale, we're going to inhale through the nose. We're going to expand the belly, expand the diaphragm nice and big, like you're filling up a water balloon. Hold at the top, exhale out the mouth, and that belly's going to come back to your center. And as you breathe, just tap in this moment. You can feel your belly rise and fall with each breath. Listen to the breath. Just tap into this moment. Whether this is your morning, your afternoon, or your night, it just feels good. So let's begin with an inhale through the nose in 3, 2, 1. Big inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. And exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can return your natural breathing. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Welcome the body back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. If you have any water, take a sip of water. All right, ladies and gents, my fellow humans, today we have with us an artist, a home chef, a writer, a reader, a runner, a massive nerd, a dog dad, comedian, yes, a full big time comedian, an actor, and a fellow heavy hitter, my guy, Josh Krol. What's going on, bro?
Hello, how's it going?
Bro, living the dream, man, living the dream. I'm just so blessed to have so many guys who've been on the show to be on the pod and just having, real conversations. Again, one of the things that was one of the most things I felt so blessed about was having connections with guys who are all in a very similar space that I'm in that I wasn't, never really
Mhm.
had really growing up. So it's really cool, dude. I'm so blessed to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Keep me grounded and keep these conversations going. Very much needed this community, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. All right. So to kickstart things, just let the audience know where are you geographically in the world and how are you feeling in this particular season of life?
Yeah, I am a actor, artist, and a person, as we've heard, based in Brooklyn, New York, right now. We just moved out to Bushwick. I'm feeling good. My seasonal life, I'm trying to be grounded. We just got back from a little anniversary trip to Arizona, where we unwound, experienced nature. I got this little keepsake to remind me. It's like polychrome jasper to remind you to stay grounded and accept life and accept adventure as it comes to you. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just
Hmm.
accepting the opportunities and being ready to take them by full force when they come.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say we, are you talking, and is this the anniversary? Is this with your girlfriend?
Yes, this is me and my girlfriend. We just celebrated 4 years.
Amazing. Dude, I love it. Love is in the air, baby. We just, what did you guys end up doing for Valentine's Day? I don't know if that's corny.
That's funny you say that. Our anniversary is on Valentine's Day, so we
Get
always
out.
lump it together. We do a big old trip for. We try to as much as possible for that special day.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We'll talk about because you did a movie about love too, man. You're on fire. You're in the love spirit. So, but first off, let's dive into a little bit about the past. I always find, when I reflect on myself, learning about like what makes me tick all comes from childhood, and when I, connect with
Mhm.
others, you can kind of dive deep into the roots. So, tell me a little bit about what life was like for a young Josh Kroll growing up. Like, where were you environmentally? What influenced you? What did your parents do? Did you have siblings? What kind of things were you interested in? So yeah, what was life like for young Josh Kroll?
Yeah, I'm a Midwestern guy through and through. Born in Wisconsin, raised in Michigan. My dad's from Chicago. My mom's from Detroit. We got the full scope of the Midwest. I'm a Taurus, born in May. kind of adopted those. Well, the verdicts here or there, whether or not that influences you, but I really adopted to that um, mindset, not so much and the positive sides of the mindset. Taurus can kind of come across as stubborn, but I've kind of reframed and reflipped that to being just the resilient spirit.
Mm.
That being said, for most of my life, I was a huge and still am a huge nerd. I was a big math guy, engineer, all throughout school. Was in the robotics teams, was in the mathlete competitions, all the way through high school. And I don't know what happened, but I watched one of the middle school plays. I was like, I can do that. High school came along. I got close to the high school theater teacher, and then the rest is history. Just started taking those classes and found myself very at home on the improv comedy team. And from there, that stretched out to, hey, will you do the school play? I said yes, and then next thing you know, I was deciding to drop my Calc BC level 4 AP class to take another credit of acting class my senior year, and went out to New York to go to school for acting and theater.
Did you have any like artists in the family?
Not really immediately. My cousin Brian Middlestock, an incredible actor and artist. He's based out in LA. He is an absolute phenom. He went to UConn for his master's, and ever since has been crushing it. He does so many great indie features, indie shorts. Great commercial actor. He really taught me what it was like to work and the business side of everything, the unsavory stuff that they don't really teach you in the BFA programs.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd be able to do it without him. He's incredible.
Mm, that's beautiful. Now, what was the I feel like everyone's transition from high school to college is like the first time you ever really live on your own and you're discovering about yourself, and then also diving into this creative pursuit, which also were your parents supportive of the pursuit of being an artist?
To this day, way more supportive than I could have ever hoped
Mm,
for. No questions asked. Just we want you to be happy doing what you want to do. Um, just run at it full force. That's the only thing that we ask is whatever you pursue, work as hard as you can and be nice to everybody around you while you do it.
yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Actually, before I talk about the transition from high
Mhm.
school to college, what was that first play you did?
The first play I ever did was John Proctor in The Crucible as a freshman in high school. I don't think anybody's ever started there before, and I don't think you should. um, Genuinely, just a very funny time. I look back at pictures at it now, and definitely was a feat. A lot of content to be thrown at, but I think being so new to it did me a lot of favors in that regard. I think because I had no acting training, no preconceived notions going into it, I think I accidentally stumbled upon some great moments as much as a 14-year-old can as John Proctor.
Mhm.
Um, and it ended up, I don't know. I love the process. I jumped in the deep end for sure, and I definitely drowned a little bit. But now, now I kind of, it's, I don't want to say responsibility, but that weight of depth, I love that.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think I deserve it, but I'm ready with open arms anytime something like that comes along.
Bro, absolutely. And then I'm curious what, because you have like, especially in middle school, it's like peer validation is like really everything. It's so important at that stage, and
Yeah.
you're building your friend group and you're very into like STEM oriented endeavors, like you're talking about robotics and
Hmm.
engineering. Was there a weird flip and shift in like did you have the same friend groups as you started to pursue this different craft and surround yourself with different people, or like was that hard to navigate?
Well, I think it was a little bit easier of a transition considering the size of my friend group to begin with was not very large.
Mm,
We kind I always knew I wanted to do something very performative, even when I was on robotics teams. Me and a couple of my close friends, we would at 12 years old just screen record our really crappy laptops, playing Minecraft together, upload it to YouTube. Just to create content in some way was always something I knew I needed or yeah, just was called to. Um, and then when I decided to quit orchestra because my mom wanted me to do some art, the only other option was to join the theater class. I started doing improv there because I liked making people laugh. I always loved watching Jim Carrey growing up with my dad. So that was a big calling for me. And it turns out it was something I was okay at. And I just kept on going from there. Um, I will say the friends were incredible. They did not care where I was, who I was. I think that's the beauty of school, the communities. You're seeing these people at lunch every single day, no matter what. So you
Mhm.
can make these connections across topics and beliefs, and still have a very tight knit community despite the people.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you're a senior, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Did you apply to a bunch of different colleges, a bunch of different acting programs?
I applied to 4 colleges, and half of them I went into knowing it would not work out for me. Aspirationally, I came to New York City. I auditioned for Juilliard and Marymount Manhattan College. I got into Marymount Manhattan College, and I immediately canceled the rest of my auditions because I knew I wanted to be in New York. I loved the city, um, and honestly, I couldn't imagine anything else compared to it. I definitely think it was one of the best decisions of my life, considering my college major I do not do anymore. So it was great.
Had you been in New York City before then?
No, it was my first time. I think I had visited for like 1 or 2 days, moving in my friend and my honorary brother Logan, who was also a Marymount Manhattan student at the time. He is 3 years older than me. He was the person I beat out for the role of John Proctor in The Crucible as when he was a senior in high school, and he became super close with my family, and we kind of extended that
Mm.
offer to him as our second son of our my parents and my brother, the brother that I never had, the brother that I always wanted.
Mm. Yeah, God, it's so important to have those people in our life. I'll talk about like I always try to ask about like mentors in our lives. I'll ask later
Mm-hmm.
on, but like I think it's so
Yeah.
important. But talk to me about that first semester. You're in a new environment. This is like I always visit like these books that we're reading. For anyone who doesn't know, we're like
Mm-hmm.
reading our in our fantasy books, and it's always like that new person gets in this new environment, you're kind of looking at, and then there's like one person that meets that changes their thing, and then they go in here, and there's all this drama and like cool stuff, and that's always how I envision like that first kind of go around, especially in a very artistic school like that, and also in the big city or in the Big Apple. What was the acclimating to that environment like?
I crashed and burned. I took it as an opportunity to really just reinvent myself and be the person I wanted to be. And it turns out that person is kind of annoying and a little bit of a douchebag. I was the textbook wears a beanie theater kid, like quoting Sam Shepard at any given corner, just really pretentious and up his own ass all the time. Um, I went into that very hard, realized quite quickly that that is not a great way forward socially, but also is not even the true thing that I was connected to in art. I kind of burnt myself out. Felt very disconnected from the things that I loved about it, and took a step back thanks to some great friends, some great. My roommate Ethan was an absolutely game changer in that second semester of college when I really took a step back, found myself, and realized what was actually important to me in life.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Dude, because I feel like sometimes it's like there's like those vulnerable conversations where it's like we only want to talk about the positive things that we go through and that like, oh, we had it all figured out. Oh, we were doing this, where life is going up like this, but it's so twisty and turvy, and it's like it's not until sometimes like I don't know, for me at least, in like my journey of self-discovery, it was so much of finding and being curious and questioning why I acted in certain situations this way, and just constantly seeing like finding what I don't like to find what I do like. And took years, and like college was a great time to kind of explore that and to get a little bit closer and understand who I am. And it's a constant journey, it's a constant evolution. But did you throughout those, it was a 4-year program?
4 year.
Throughout those 4 years, did you slowly start to, and also when you're, I feel like doing theater, I think everyone should do theater because you get to know your peers on such a deeper level, and also you get to know yourself emotionally, like physically, what you're capable of on such a deeper level. So what was like the journey of self-discovery? Did you, I mean, we're still finding ourselves, but were you able to
Mhm.
really find and learn a lot about yourself over those 4 years?
Yeah, the one thing I will give myself credit for was I, for better or worse, would always run into things at a 100% speed. So I made those mistakes early, fast, and often. I went from doing my first year as an acting major, deciding that I wanted more than that. I auditioned for the musical theater program. By way of brute force, somehow got in. Did a double major for 2 years. Pandemic hit. I was in my room the entire like my childhood bedroom looking at all this theater stuff. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Got back to New York, was like, well, let's try to see if TV film is a better world for me. Ran into that head first for a few months. Felt immediately in touch again with all the things I loved about art, the spontaneity, the just true human experience. The culture is so great because you're interacting with theater's so actor forward. I feel like it's so easy to go an entire rehearsal process only interacting with actors, other actors and directors. And I love that in film you get such a great microcosm of the world. The crew is all from different walks of life. Yeah, a lot of the times you have actors at very different experience levels working on the same thing, and I fell in love with that community and getting to know people and getting to know everybody's stories. That it made it so hard to realize I had to finish school in like a semester. I regrettably almost stopped going to my dance classes entirely just because I knew what I was called to do, as pretentious as that sounds. I think I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that I had a good time being there, and that was making me better at it because I came to work with a smile. So I completely altered the course of my life pretty much every 6 months for 4 years in college, and it was the greatest thing I ever could have done.
Yeah. And was it one of those programs, were you allowed to audition for things out? You couldn't?
No, we were not.
Or could you?
um,
Or was really strict?
I played by the rules so well for 2.5 years. And then one fateful day, I'm thinking back to all these days where I was a little bit manic and I decided to send a text message to somebody who I didn't think would respond to me. And this has happened like 20, 30 times in my life when those conversations have changed something so drastic for me. And I was in my like childhood basement, playing on my Wii, and I in between rounds of a game, I texted a guy that I respected, that I really liked his work when we went to school together. He had just moved to France to do a TV show out there, and I asked him, and I said, "Hey man, I love your demo reel. Any chance you could like let me know who did it for you?" He was like, "Oh, I did it all myself," and then we started a conversation, and he just told me, "Hey, I know the rules. Like you got to play by you know yourself. You know your own career better than they do. You got to start doing this." I did like 8 of them when I was in school, and nobody even knew I did one because they don't get you footage back until you are graduated already. So it's an ask for forgiveness rather than permission, and that was what got me over that rule following mindset. I auditioned hardcore for unpaid work. I would skip class to go do a short film shoot, and I was no regrets, none at all.
Were you taking like film classes at school, or was it just a theater program?
It was just theater. We had one film class. I didn't end up taking a film class until this past month, or 2 months ago, December. It was my first time taking a film class. And I was very relieved when I was there that I learned so much from being on set ahead of time. I really don't think. just doing it is the best teacher. It might be a little bit messy. You might make some mistakes. You might put some stuff on permanent a digital footprint that you didn't want to, but it's the best teacher is just doing it.
Absolutely. Now, what was the transition from, you're in like a container where it's like we got things figured out, we got structure throughout the day. I'm doing this, and then it's kind of gone, and it's like now you're in the quote unquote real world, and you're like, okay, I am an act. Like how long did it take you to like be able to strongly say I am an actor? I feel like that's something that us actors can sometimes struggle with.
Can you say that today?
Bro, it's tough.
It's tough. I don't know if I can even confidently say it now, but I manifest it and I force myself to say it every single day anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, in my intro list, I put it last because I'm a person who exists and sometimes I have an acting job.
Mhm.
Um, but I am an actor. I am an artist. I'm a storyteller. I am a filmmaker,
Mhm.
and it took a while for sure. I came right out of school and I was so confident in it, despite having nothing behind nothing underneath of it to support the claims. And I went in hard and fast. And then the best and also worst thing that could have happened to me happened, and I booked something that I did not deserve to book. I did an episode of Law and Order guest star like 5 months out of school, and I was like, oh, this is it. They're finally going to see how talented I am. This is going to change my life. This is everything I've always deserved. Um, and then you do it. You're there for 2 hours. You go home and everything's exactly the same. And if you're like, wow, okay. The episode comes out. You're like, oh, cool. People are going to notice me. And everything's exactly the same, which was incredibly humbling. I ended up quitting acting for a year, like 3 months after that, because I had run myself full speed into a brick wall instead of taking the slow and steady approach. But it was also great to realize that it really is just it's a process. It's a journey. The way that you take the journey is more important than the destination. And that really, because that happened so early in my career, I'm very grateful that it humbled me, and I'm able to let go of that result now and just focus on I love doing the work, and when something big comes along, I'll be ready for it, but I'm not going to force it before I'm ready, because I've done things that I wasn't ready for, and it's a very uncomfortable experience. You don't do it. I feel bad for everybody else that I work on those projects with, because they deserved a greater level of selflessness that I wasn't able to give. So that was a great humbling experience.
Mhm.
Uh, Crash and burn, like always, run full force and then make a mistake. I'm sure I'm doing stuff right now that I'm gonna look back and laugh on in like 3 years
Mhm.
for being so sure of himself.
No, man, the acting journey is so non-linear, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And but every like quote unquote crash and burn, every experience that might not be like an unpaid gig that just like wasn't that great, where the footage didn't even come out well, or you didn't get the footage, it's all an
Mm-hmm.
experience, and all experiences lend themselves towards growth, like truthfully. And I always think about like those stories are like the most embarrassing in the time. I'm always like manifesting, bro, when we're on that interview, we're on that late night show and we get to share our stories. Like, what stories am I going to tell? It's always those stories.
Oh yeah.
So I always, and then also I was like kind of in an entrepreneurship mindset at some point. And a lot of the thing with entrepreneurship, it's like you have a business and it's like all a numbers game. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you calculate the statistics, it's like sometimes it's like 40 no's to one to get one yes. So when I look at it like that, it's like every time I get a no, it's like, thank you. I'm one step closer to my yes. I'm one step
Mm-hmm.
closer. So it's like just a different mindset shift, but it's all experience and it all lends itself in a really beautiful way.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I wanted to ask because I saw this and I want to see if this is true. Did you
Okay.
study in Italy?
I did,
Tell me
yes.
about that.
Yeah, right before pandemic, that summer, I did a clowning commedia dell'arte Shakespeare devised theater study abroad program in Arezzo, Italy, in Tuscany. Incredible experience. I was incredibly lost in my life, and it was the perfect time for that. Um, and I studied with some incredible people and met some I actually got lunch with one of my dear friends, Brett, who I met out there in Italy. Putting 30 young artists together, all trying to figure themselves out, was incredible growth. Absolutely lovely experience. I used so much, and not the things that I thought I would take away from it. I did this wonderful devised theater Shakespeare class with Greg Perotti. I think he was one of the writers and producers on the Laramie Project. We did a lot of chakra work, a lot of meditation, and I to this day find that the most helpful thing to get me out of my head, to stop overthinking, to calm the ego down, before work, before life. Honestly, I do it as much. I try to make sure my seven chakras are as open as they can be. If they're not, then just accepting that and understanding what that changes about your day. And it's been a game changer. Uh, that extra couple weeks in Italy.
Mhm. I love hearing you talk about just like chakras and spirituality. Is that something you'd
Mm-hmm.
always been exposed to and open to, or is that something that came to you, or a person that brought it to your attention, or how did that kind of develop for you?
I I think it's something I've always been open to. I when I was going through my first soiree into musical theater, I took a lot of dance classes in high school, and there's always that yoga training that's sprinkled into contemporary modern dance class, which is what I felt very at home with. So it's always something I've been open to. I would go to yoga. I would go to hot yoga just for the fun, like just as some friends, and I've been exposed to it. But yeah, that time in Italy was the first time we ever like broke it down, and I found that connection. I've always been a very spiritual person. I don't know. I don't really try to define it much else than that, but it's a thing that's very real. You can define it however you wish, but that greater connection to everything around you is always present in me, and it's always been something I have been fascinated by, and I'm trying to learn more about.
Yeah, dude, it's beautiful. And I think the actor's journey, the artist journey is just an incredibly spiritual pursuit. Like it's so
Oh yeah.
lacking rhyme or rhythm, rhyme or reason. Like anyone who comes, like people who come into our life in certain times, certain reasons, the certain job that you do get, that you don't get, it all almost plays a role in this cosmic force of timing, like the divine timing. And it's so beautiful because I believe like miracles happen in the
Mm-hmm.
unknown, and the whole industry is the unknown. Like I don't know what every day is different. Every
Yeah.
like I could get a job that changes my life tomorrow, or that I think it does and doesn't, but then this leads to that, and it's a really cool thing. So I think being open to
Mm-hmm.
that is such a important thing as we navigate this career.
Yeah.
And I
I
also
want to go
wanna
back to something you were saying about the luck, the waiting for those miracles, that cosmic thing to happen. And yes, like it's the at the end of the day, when you're an artist, it's all about luck. It's all about miracles. It's all about that cosmic, incredible happening. But you don't allow for those things to happen unless you keep showing up every single day. So it's all a numbers game, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's like it's the ultimate dance because
Mm-hmm.
um I love my mom, and my mom's my number one listener on this, but we've talked about kind of the like there's you could be the person who's kind of only meditating and visualizing and living kind of a very airy kind of life, or you could be very
Mm-hmm.
grounded in the action and the doing and the planning, but like not lack that spiritual, like that kind of airiness. And like sometimes I get I go too high in like, all right, I'm just meditating, I'm just visualizing, and then they're all both of them are important, but like you almost can't get one with like get
Mm-hmm.
to where you need to go without both of them. If you're like
Mm-hmm.
really just dreaming, you need to marry it with action. And if you're just doing the action, you can burn out, and you have to maybe tap in and surrender a little bit more. So it's just again, all kind of
Oh
plays a
yeah, you
role.
need that grounded downward spiraling energy as much as you need the upward one.
Yeah. I want to talk about because you had mentioned talked about certain times in life about getting lost.
Yeah.
And I think particularly again in this industry, for people, and it's hard for people who aren't in the industry because it's hard to understand what the day-to-day life looks like. Like you could have a kick-ass first quarter and book like maybe two jobs, and that's like an amazing first quarter. And it's like you have like out of 3 weeks, you maybe have 14 days of doing nothing, kind of,
Hmm.
and that's a great thing. But it's really hard, and you do a job where you're like, this is it, and it's kind of, and then it, like you said, was such a well articulated idea where it's the Law and Order, which every like if I got that, I would be in the exact same headspace, bro. Where it's like you do it, you're doing the thing, and I'm amazed that like 2 hours is actually crazy, but like
They
they bang.
churn that shit out. It's absolutely mental
Hmm.
how quickly they it's a 9 to 5. It's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. So you do it and then you come back and then you think it's the thing and it comes out and then it kind of
Hmm.
doesn't build the traction that we kind of hope. And then it's very easy to kind of, if we don't have, I feel like sometimes community or things to almost like keep our brain busy or our bodies busy. We can get very lost in, because I think in this industry it's very easy to attach worth and validity to the external, to the job, to the work, versus
Hmm.
really focusing on the journey. And even for me, where I try to really meditate and focus on the journey is the most important part, I still, whether I book a job or don't book a job, it immediately changes how I feel. And I'm still kind of tied to that external force right that. But talk to me about when you're in that season where things are a little bit slower. The jobs might not be coming in, the validation might not be coming in. How do you navigate through that? Do you have particular practices? And I think this is so important for every artist because it always comes for the people who are the 0.1 percenters of actors who are making a full on living. Like this always comes to everyone. So do you have any practices in place to help you through that time?
I would like to start by saying that I don't know anything, but here's what I'm trying to do. I'm in one of those phases right now. We wrapped a movie about 2 weeks ago. My next project isn't until the end of next month. I may be working 1 or 2 days a week at my day job, and I don't know what to do. And I'm really counting on the fact that I have this great community. I'm using this time to foster that community, to show support for my fellow artists, to put my time and energy into building that community, to making those lunches, to scheduling those conversations, those calls. Our dear friend Darius has got a movie premiere tonight. I'm showing out for that. Just really engaging in the industry at large. I'm hoping this is a very important part. If not, I feel very fulfilled doing it. So that's at least that. But also, I don't feel qualified to give advice because in I have taken many of those downtimes and completely quit. But I will say that is not the end. I like I said, after that first little stint, Law and Order, I got nothing for 6 months. I decided, hey, acting's not for me. Let me see if I can be happy doing anything else. I worked in sales for 6 months. Um, and then one day saw a little audition for a baseball TV show, and I was like, I'm sick of this. I can't take this course of action anymore. And I was like, maybe let's just dip my toe back in and see what happens. And that started everything back up again. So it is okay to stop. Um, and if it's a real passion and you're open and aware about that, and you are asking yourself the question, that's the important part. If you, as long as you're having that conversation with yourself and you realize how you feel, it's never too late to get back into it.
Yeah, that's a real answer, dude. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. All right. You did a short film called Nate and Lee, if I
Yeah.
do recall. I want, because I saw that this your first time screening, like seeing yourself on the screen before?
That was, and I want to shout out Ryan Zhao, Yale University, the first person to ever cast me in anything ever. Uh, what an incredible, what an incredible filmmaker! What an incredible artist! He's got a YouTube channel. Check him out.
Mm.
Um, Seeing that on screen was crazy because I that was the first thing I ever did. But by the time that screened, I had done 4 or 5 projects afterwards. And I would think back about that first production and be like, oh, I messed this up. I didn't do this correctly. I didn't do that right. And then I watched it and it was good. And I was like, oh, all of this worry and panic about, oh, I wasn't in control. I wasn't doing these techniques that I've since picked up was so unnecessary because I just wasn't aware of the nature of film, and me feeling so out of control and out of touch and so spontaneous, and this can't possibly be good because I don't know how I'm feeling right now, ended up creating such incredible potency for that character, for that story. And it's still one of the proudest the proudest films I've ever done. Even though it was right out of school, first one.
That's awesome, dude. And I mean, I know watching ourselves is such a journey. It's such a I don't even know. I was always like, because I could always, making my own stuff or like editing our things together. And I realized that when I see everything that's like every frame by frame and how it's going to come out, there's like no fear because I know exactly, I'm like with that process. But when you do the thing and you don't actually see how it looks when you're making it because you're not watching the dailies and then you're removed from it, and then someone else edits it, there is a lot more fear because it's like I actually don't know how it specifically looks because there's a lot of that time
Mm-hmm.
in between. Um, and it's really challenging and it's really uncomfortable. And I heard of so many but it's one of those things, man, where it's like so many actors who are like where we want to be, where I want to be, don't watch their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely want to get to that space where you kind of love the craft, and it's also when you're working with someone who has that clear vision. It's all trust in really the director's vision, the creator's
Yeah.
vision, and when you have that trust, they're not gonna let you look bad almost
Yeah,
sometimes.
me personally, I'm vain. I will always be watching my own things. I also just like love. I'm my biggest regret, I think, is not learning more about the technical craft of film earlier, because I am discovering this now, and it is so thrilling. One of my good friends is a first AC. I love talking to him about the work. I love talking to and just like learning about the logistic process, the framing, the all that technical lighting stuff. I've developed a love for that, and to a point where it almost gets in the way where I will be thinking about, oh, how tight is this frame on me now? How can I hit my lighting points really right instead of just like surrendering into the authenticity of it? It's always a nice balance you can strike, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, I know. I love the work and the craft, and I'm very grateful that even after doing this for so long, there's still stuff that I am excited to keep learning about.
I think we're always going to keep learning. It's going to be really cool because we're just going to keep
Hmm.
elevating those different kind of levels. And I feel like there's tiers of like filmmaking.
If I
Yeah.
ever become uh, a know-it-all, if I ever become like egotistical, I know everything about things. I don't need to learn anything. Just sit me down on site. We got to have a conversation because I will never know everything. I will always need to be educated.
I
I will
got you.
always need to know something else to open my mind in some way.
Yeah, we're always curious. We're always curious. All right, now talk to me a little bit about because this is something that I think every person honestly has to navigate, specifically artists. When I heard Viola Davis talk about having imposter syndrome, I'm like, if Viola Davis has imposter syndrome, bro, everyone has imposter syndrome. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you were sharing a little bit about Law and Order, possibly feeling a little bit of that, where you're thrust into something where, and you hear this term a lot, fake it till you make it. And I
Mm-hmm.
always kind of struggled, with that kind of term, but that's like a very real thing when you're given this opportunity and you don't feel like maybe you like look around and there are people who are maybe a little bit more experienced. And like you were talking about on set, the beautiful thing about it is that you have people from different levels of their career, starting off or like have been doing this for 10 years or 30 years. And it's very easy to get in our own head and like the mindset is such a huge thing. So talk to me a little bit about imposter syndrome and like your kind of journey with it.
Yeah, I this is something I'm recently working on actually. I feel like I have been harmed a lot by faking it till I make it instead of just admitting that I don't know what the fuck is going on and saying, "Hey, what does that mean?" And that would have helped me so much. It would have shown people that I genuinely care rather than that I'm just trying to get through the day without them thinking I'm less than like what I am. I when it doesn't directly involve you, full confidence, fake it till you make it. But if something comes up and it does affect you, if you're on a film set and they tell you, hey, we're going in on a 35 right now, and you're like, hey, I don't know what that is. Where, like, can you tell me what the frame is so I know how much space I have to move around? They'll love you for that. That they get that you care enough to ask the question. And I think especially as young actors, as greener actors, I believe it is very important to understand you don't know everything, and that sometimes it's better to not fake it. Because at the end of the day, all people want with younger colleagues is to have someone likable around who's willing to work hard and willing to learn and willing to grow. Because you're going to be around for a while. It makes their job easier if the next project you work on, you know what you're talking about. So,
That's a great answer, man. That's a great answer. I heard, um, I think it was some director. I don't know who it was, but talking about basically once we get to a certain level, like everyone is talented. Like
yeah.
talent is like out of the question. It's not even about almost comparing talent, because there's so many different reasons and why you get a role versus someone else gets a role. But it's usually hardly has to do with talent. But this director went on to say, like sometimes, honestly, it's who do I want to go camping with for 6 months? It's like
Yeah.
it comes down to that, which is kind of crazy, but just genuinely
Mm-hmm.
being like an interesting, curious, cool individual can help you land a job. And so much about this in industry people will say is networking, but I just call it relationship building. And also the more I didn't realize this when I was kind of younger, but the more you're kind of on set, you realize like 90% of the gig is waiting. So it's like how do you
Mm-hmm.
fill that time,
Yep.
and make an impression without like overdoing it or underdoing it, and generally just leading with so much love. And it's cool because I feel like I'm meeting a lot more people who carry themselves with that. I think I've run into like one person at one student film that was like genuinely like really hard to work with. So like, but it's like I feel like the industry's changing because it's like now with social media, if you're a dick, people will know, and people aren't gonna put up with that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole thing. It's a whole
You
thing.
said so much, and I want to comment on so much of it. I'll probably go on tangents, so just
Go
we
for it.
can feel free to butt in. First and foremost, I love that take on networking. It's one of the one things that younger me got right, I think, by accident. Because I'm an introvert, I don't really want to go out and talk to many people out and about. It was never my speed, so I always lived by I'm gonna choose the one or two people in a room that I genuinely love. I love their work. I love to talk to them. I love what they do. I'm gonna pour all my energy into them. I'm gonna cast a deep net rather than wide, and that's something that has served me so well. I think because I don't have any of these awkward conversations now with people that I only half know. Like everybody that I chose to build a relationship with is someone that I genuinely believe is talented, that I genuinely would get behind and want to work with forever. And that is so easy to be able to look through my network and think that about every single person. Um, Also, that is a great point that you made about everyone being talented. I had this epiphany out, waiting in a lobby for a callback the other day. I was like, everybody is so good. Everybody is so talented and everybody deserves this. So stop asking yourself whether or not you're good enough because everybody else is. So that means you probably are too. The thing that matters now is it's not I feel like I learned that I've come to the point where everyone is good enough. So it doesn't really matter about being the best. It matters about your specific point of view, what inspires you, what makes you happy, the your spirit, the way that you have fun, the things that you can bring to a project. Because I coasted so long by just showing up and be like, "Hey, director, tell me what to do, and I'll do it better than everybody else." But everyone's good. You have to have your opinions now, and that was what I've been trying to live on this week. It's not really articulate yet. I'm working on it. We're getting there. Um, That's what I'm working on in the next little phase of my life.
That's beautiful. Journey never stops. Never stops.
Hmm.
All right, now for anyone who doesn't know, we met through a little TV show called Heavy Hitters, and I told all the guys, I'm like, I don't want to talk about Heavy Hitters until the show comes out because I feel like as an
Hmm.
audience member, I'd rather have a pure experience and be cast with this illusion versus hearing the ins and outs and like what was going on,
Hmm.
just like on the show because I feel like when you get a peek behind the curtain, it kind of ruins that illusion, and I want people
Yeah.
to have that illusion, and then we can talk about it later. So,
Yeah.
but on the show met this beautiful guy, Josh Krol, right here, Mr. Goldie. And I remember you talking about writing, and you talked
Hmm.
about being a writer, just writing your own bits. And I think at this time and age, particularly now we all have cell phones where we have just amazing ability to make films and make content and do stuff that we couldn't really. I mean, people couldn't do, 30, 40 years ago, where we can really make our own stuff and get our career into our own hands, especially when we surround ourselves with fellow creatives and writers. And actors and producers and directors. And I remember you talking about writing your own stuff. And so tell me about that. Tell me about what is it like to be a writer? What do you love about writing? And do you have wait, I also don't have you done the stuff that you were writing when we were talking about on the show? It
You
was
know,
so
I have so many half-finished things, and the way that I view writing now, I don't know if I'll ever. I mean, the goal is eventually to produce stuff, but it has turned into more of a meditative practice, as a storytelling practice, just to understand how the stories that exist in my brain naturally link together. It's been great. I primarily write a lot of like sketch comedy style, which is so funny because most of the work I do is not comedy. And I don't know where that separation comes from, but it helps me learn that what I find funny very well by putting it on paper. Um, that way, when I get onto a set to act, I don't really have to think about how to tell a story. What do I do here to tell this story? Like I know, like I this would be so funny if I like in the moment I'll be like, oh, you should say this. It's funny because I would write that, and just having that as like a meditative practice. I got like 30 sketches in the tank. I'm just waiting to I'm just waiting to film those.
Mhm.
um, but other than that, I don't know what will come of any of my work. I hope in the cards for me later down the line in my career to be able to do that for other actors to produce and write something and give them a job, if only for a few weeks. It's something that I really want. Whether it will be my work or not, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it's just still such a great muscle to flex,
Yeah.
especially just because it's so creative. It's so
Hmm.
creative. You're able to kind of visualize and dream as you're doing it. It's a form of when you're writing. It's almost I feel like the writing process. I read this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's like so spiritual. Like, it's like some of the stuff that she talked about, like where do ideas come from? And then when you get into like when I've thought about flow state specifically, people talk about it through sports. And at times I had experienced it through sports. You hear about music a lot, about dance, about these different creative endeavors. And I feel like most recently it's always come from like when I'm writing and like time flies by and then these ideas just like pour through like a flood. You can't stop. And then when you stop, it almost kind of goes away and you're like how and then you look and like I didn't do that, it's like this weird thing. But it's so beautiful and it's so cool. And I'm kind of at this space where I don't just writing again, working that muscle, getting that practice in. And I'm always like, I just want to have a bunch of like short films on the docket because what
Yeah.
if one day someone asked me, hey, what do you got? That kind of thing. So
do you
always just,
do
you
you
never know.
stick to a genre when you write? Do you write primarily like screenplays? If so, what's the genre you stick in? What's
So
your
I
writing like?
was kind of going through like this phase of, um, I'm like, I do want to do like short films because I think it's logistically kind of easier to
Yeah.
produce if that was ever the case. Um, and I grew up on like romance, like rom-com kind of stuff. That was kind of like
Nice.
where I was at. And then I was like, Andrew, I kind of want to do a little bit of everything. I was a big country guy. Had a pickup truck when I was, 16 and I was like only listening to country music and I was driving one time. And this is the beautiful thing. This is the big magic. This is like where does this come from? I'm driving and Cop Car comes on. This song by I think it's Keith Urban and Sam Hunt also
Mhm.
does it. I think it was Sam Hunt originally. And then I was like, what an interesting story about like what about like this guy and this girl fall in love in the back of a cop car, which is like literally what the song's about. And then I just started dreaming. I started like visualizing it as the words were playing, and then I started writing. And that and so like the romance, and then also it's I believe in the idea of like if you do a drama, there's a lot of comedy in the drama, and then
Oh yeah.
sometimes like comedies are can be really dramatic. So I think everything I write is infused with drama and comedy. That
Hmm.
comes in kind of different levels. But I think mostly deeply the things I'm really passionate about are stories that are kind of inspiring, that kind of talk about a certain theme.
Hmm.
That I'm passionate about. That I think is important, and that I think people will walk away leaving inspired, hopefully, and be able to relate and connect and like have conversations with their family members.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I was like I'm just a very sentimental guy. Like we like watching like I would rather watch like Legally Blonde than like Apocalypse Now, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
like we never
Dude,
really watched that really as a family growing up. So and I guess I couldn't really appreciate it at the time. What is
my
that?
favorite movie of all time, Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss Sunshine. That's I
Big
love.
sentimental.
Yeah, man. So I just anytime I honestly watch and I'm always like, why does theater exist? Why does film
Yeah.
exist? Why does storytelling exist? And I think like back in the Roman days where it's like you get hundreds of people from this community, different walks of life in one area where they can all laugh and cry and feel and relate and get pissed off, like feel all these emotions together, and we can move people in that way.
Hmm.
And ultimately, I think that's just kind of what I want to evoke from an audience members, and I think that happens through being able
Yeah.
to relate to certain stories. So I think I try to bounce around now to like different genres. Like I love to do like a little bit more sci-fi stuff, but I think
Hmm.
ultimately it's always kind of grounded in something where people can walk away and kind of reflect and be like, oh shit, you know, like maybe
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like that's cool. And like I think my favorite films like Coda, like dude, movie changed my life, bro. Like I started learning sign language. Like
Oh,
it just
sick.
I didn't know like it educated me about a community of
Yeah.
people that I had never even known about before. So I just love kind of feeling good. So that's kind of where I was at. That was a deep
Love
tangent,
that.
brother.
No, I love that. I love you.
Yeah.
You said so much great things. One of them reminded me. I was just watching a director's table, and one of my favorite directors of the year, The Substance, Corley Farge.
Mm,
Someone asked her, "Why did you decide to make The Substance as a horror movie?" And she said, "I didn't. I wrote the story I wanted to write, and then you guys put a genre on it. I
mm,
don't think like that. I don't think in genres, and I love that. I wrote the story that I wanted to write." To make people to ask these questions, not even to make people feel a certain way. I love art that makes you ask a question instead of telling you how to feel.
mhm,
Um, but this is the movie I wanted to make. I didn't try to confine it into a genre. I understand that you kind of have to do that from the marketing side of it, but that's just what happened.
yeah, that's so real. That's so real. She's so good too. The Substance
Oh
was
yeah.
that was when I really like talking about like bringing people back to the theaters. Tom Cruise saved the theaters, and
Hmm.
just seeking a communal experience where I'm like in a movie theater and it's guttural. Everyone's laughing, everyone's crying, everyone's pissed off. Like didn't really have that with Avengers Endgame. Like I've been searching for that,
Yeah, yeah,
And The
yeah.
Substance was one that I ended up like watching at home, and I wish I saw it in theater because there are some movies that demand to be seen in the theater. Like I saw Nora in the theater, and like one of my
That's a
favorite films
great
of the
one for
year. Like
theater.
great, yeah, just
Yeah.
I love
I
this.
watched The Substance alone in a theater at a 1 a.m. showing at the Union Square Regal, and I was the only person in the entire room. And I even that was such a crazy theater experience to me.
Mhm.
So much better than if I watched it at home. I don't. I it was like the movie is already such a beautiful like. They call something a beautiful assault feels, but it's such an aggressively beautiful lamentation on just body image and the way that bodies are seen in this in like capitalist world, and it was so incredible to be assaulted by all the visuals and all of the story alone in a theater. um and it had a huge impact on me. Love that movie.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Okay, talk to me about comedy a little bit because you had talked about like you haven't done a lot of comedy, but you love
Yeah.
comedy and talking about Jim Carrey, a lot of inspiration. What's like your style of comedy? Like what would you love to do? What would you love to bring to the screen? Like maybe it's like a past comedy. Like who's your favorite kind of comedians? Like what? Because there's different kinds of comedy. There's physical
Yeah.
comedy. There's like um there's really witty like Vince Vaughn kind of improvisational comedy, and then there's dry humor comedy. So where do you kind of land in that?
I love to sprinkle comedy in just as much as dramatic things because like you said, it's just a part of life. So I've always been so called to comedy shows specifically because they have those truthful, real arcs. The one we're watching right now is Abbott Elementary. I think it does it so well, where it's comedy writing. Everybody's funny, but they make room for real issues and real arcs, and it wouldn't be the same without both. I think all the best comedies talk about the full like range of the human experience, and I don't ever want to lose that. I think a lot of comedy is used in response to tragedy, and I think that's like a full well-rounded thing. This is all me trying to stall until I think of a style or a movie or there's something that I would love to be in. um I have been loving the rom-com world. I just watched the Kristen Bell, Adam Brody, not Adrian Brody, Adam Brody. Nobody Wants This. That show is great.
Bro, me and my
Uh,
mom, sorry, me and my mom binged that in like a day. It was crazy.
yeah, we did too. It was absolutely incredible. So so funny, so beautiful. Uh, that world. That's more close to how I experience the world. I like if you put me in Oppenheimer, I'm cracking jokes left and right. I know it's the worst day of this guy's life, but I'm cracking jokes. Like I don't know if there's a dramatic situation that I would not respond to with comedy. I think a lot of people are the same.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever done stand up, and would you ever do stand up?
Oh God. I do perhaps the cringiest thing in the world, and I do improv comedy, and that is as close to stand up. I have the most utmost respect for stand up comedians. It is terrifying. Um and I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't never say never, but I it's tough.
Yeah, no, it's no joke. It's no
Yeah,
joke.
it's no joke.
It's like one of those things I feel like at some point in my life I'd like to check off, but maybe with like a bunch of friends in like a small, intimate environment
Yeah.
versus really diving into a full on. It's like the most vulnerable thing.
Yeah, maybe I'll lose a fantasy football league one year, and the punishment will be do a stand up comedy set, and I'll crush it, and that'll be the catalyst or something.
You never know. I feel like if you can overcome that like fear and then do it and then be proud of it, that's a
Hmm.
pretty cool thing to like be able to tell my grandkids. So
Yeah,
all right, now I want to talk about you're also like a freaking athlete, bro. Like I've heard not everyone can say they completed a marathon. And I want to talk about what was like the discipline because there's a discipline in the training that comes with completing something so grandeur as that.
getting
What
this.
is
It's on the
for all the
wall.
listeners, this is a full on what is this? This is a medal, yeah?
This is my Guthrie Wineglass Marathon Completers medal. Why did I sign up for that marathon? It was the same time as I joined sales. I was looking for something challenging to do because for the longest time, the thing that challenged me from the moment I woke up till the moment I went to bed was an acting career, and I didn't have that anymore for a little bit. And I loved. I had just discovered running because we had gotten a dog, and the dog park was about 2 miles away from our house. And the easiest way to get her there was to just sprint with her full speed before she had time to think about crossing the main roads. Um, and I just fell in love with that one like half mile to 1 mile jog to the dog park every day. I was like, maybe I could do this whole marathon thing, and I started training for it. Way too long of a training. My body completely broke down. I was injured a month and a half before I had to run. I had to like take 2 weeks off and then hop back into it, hobble into the finish line. Did not go well. I We have the drawing for the New York City Marathon in 2 weeks from now. We'll see if I get a chance to do it again this year.
What kind of injury
um,
like do you get from running?
Mine was my knee, and I had never my knee and my foot, my like foot tendons and my knee. I don't know what it was about the way that I was running my gait. I thought it was going to be. I have a lingering IT band tear from when I was dancing back in high school. I thought that was going to do me in, but it was the joints, it's the tendons, it's the stuff that doesn't recover easily like a muscle that really just it makes it tough no matter what you do. You just gotta try to numb the pain. And funnily enough, as soon as you start that final day, the adrenaline carries you through it, and you don't worry about it once until the next day.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, amazing, amazing. All right, dude. I have a few more questions, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to speed through this a little bit, because I have a bunch of final questions at the end that I want to make sure
Okay.
we. So, to kind of wrap things up, we talked about the present, we talked about the past a little bit. Now let's dive into the future. Now I started asking questions like, "What's your dreams, goals, ambitions? Give me the juice." But then I started thinking I don't always necessarily believe in like telling everyone what I want to do. Like it's almost like acting behind the shadows, like behind a
Hmm.
curtain, and then let the work speak for itself. So I really do um kind of vibe with that kind of sentiment. So and you don't necessarily have to say what kind of dreams and goals you have, but talk about like there was a vision board or a mood board with feelings and colors, like what do you want to kind of attract or manifest or anything that you have, you know, coming up. Like you said, you had that shoot coming up that
Hmm.
maybe you wanna share.
Yeah, we're staying grounded. We're staying in the dark, the greens, the browns, the neutral cream colors of the vision board. Um, really just want to stay grounded, take every single day and enjoy the work for what it is without needing anything more to come out of it. To really chase that terrifying uncomfortability of being vulnerable when I am working, and the even more uncomfortable vulnerability of not working at all, and letting yourself sit in that, um, and take it day by day. I want to continue supporting the people around me, really form this community, really pour myself into other people's work, even if it means from a supportive position or not even working on a production at all, just being someone to talk to about it. And then to continue that work life balance, to find a way to connect in my domestic life as much as possible, to connect with my body, my physical well being as much as possible. Um, Really just stretch the hours in a day to make sure I can cover all my grounds. Really about process this year, and I don't know. Hey, another network television star wouldn't hurt.
That is a great. I want to wrap it on a bow right there. That was such a good answer. And also, I want to just acknowledge you because you were the first person to ever actually talk like say your colors that you want to feel moving forward. So, dude, let's
Oh
go.
yeah, I'm not even wearing. It's literally the color of my like bed sheets, but I should
Yeah.
have worn my colors.
No, dude, that was great. That was great. That was so good. Okay, final rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
I would say rapid fire, but that you can take your time. Some of these
Cool.
might demand taking a little bit of time. So, Josh, what would you say right now brings you the most joy?
Coffee in the morning.
Uh, Give me your top four values.
Uh, Patience, joy, generosity, and work ethic.
Give me your hair care routine. For those of you
We
who can't see, you got great curly hair, and I'm not.
right now we're going with the I think first and foremost I'm trying to end the stigma on this. We take in a milligram of finasteride, a milligram of minoxidil every single day, preventing that hair loss. We got the forget the brand, but it's a hair loss shampoo. And then we go Olaplex number 5 for the conditioner, top it off with Kevin Murphy Killer Curls, a couple scrunches and let it air dry. Taking a gamble on the where the curls lie every day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is your spirit animal?
Cheetah.
Good answer. All right. You had talked about you identify as a chef. Give
Oh
me
yeah.
Josh Kroll's signature dish. It could be
Ooh,
anything. It could be breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. Give it to me.
right now I am rocking with this pasta dish. I was lucky enough to go to the opening night of a fingers crossed, hopefully soon Michelin star restaurant. It is a seafood orecchiette, incredible white wine butter sauce with regional prawns, blistered tomatoes, parsley, incredible. I reverse engineered it, and I got pretty stinking close to that Michelin recipe. I have it written down in my. Actually, wait, I'm gonna go on a more of a tangent in this because this is something that's very important to
Let's
me.
do it.
I
Scratching.
have started. I don't know, son or daughter one day. Somebody in my family is going to get this book. This is all my recipes. I'm starting this young. Um, I've got all of them written down in here. Where's the
How,
one that I just did?
how do you are you experimenting and playing and finding these recipes or oh
Oh
wow.
yeah, always. I'm always experimenting. I'm always playing. I'm always messing things up. I almost lit my apartment on fire last night. I was making some vegan tacos. I stepped away to I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. I stepped away to take my turn in combat. I came back, the beans were on fire. I'm always messing up, and that's okay. We experiment here.
It's all part of the journey. I love it. Dude, that's actually genuinely so cool. Like in like 50 years, that thing's gonna still be rocking and rolling.
And I hope the pages are crusted together. I hope it's sticky. I hope it smells like pasta.
I love it. All right, who is your creative inspiration, like a performer who inspires you that you admire that not necessarily you want to be, but has always had an impact on you?
I'm gonna list so many. We talked about Jim Carrey earlier. Right now, Kiki Palmer is bringing the generosity of spirit and the fun to everything. She is incredible. Um, I love. I love Haley Williams, Paramore, another person who's bringing the energy day after day. Um, Toni Collette. I just think she does what she does so well.
Toni Collette's in Hereditary, right? Is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
And I'm excited in Mickey 17 upcoming Bong Joon-ho.
is she in that?
She is,
Well, I'm
yes.
freaking out over that film. But I do a movie club with my friends, and this week like is Hereditary, and I've never seen it, so
Absolutely
I'm
incredible.
she's incredible. Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. Okay, comfort film.
Little Miss Sunshine. I know it's I love crying so much, and that film will always make me cry. Tears of hope and happiness and joy, and I love the journeys that everybody's on. And yeah.
Great. All right, now talk to me about crying on camera. Can you cry on cue, or how is it getting emotional on emotional?
Oh
Because
my gosh.
I saw like
I deal with this so much. I to the point it's a struggle for me because it's an ego thing. It comes down to I find a lot of the time, and it's my last frontier to try to destroy that ego. Where I'll get myself to a really good place, and the scene will happen. I'm not thinking about anything happening, and then the tear will come, and it's incredible. And now I'm like, I have to do that every single other take, and I will take myself out of the reason that first take was so good in order to produce that tear. And that's something I'm working on to really just prioritize that authenticity and staying hydrated. So if the tears want to come, they can. Um, and yeah, look, you know what? There were tears. Let's hope they made it to the final cut.
amazing, amazing. Now, you're an avid book reader. This is something I really admired and really when like there's so many guys on a set of heavy hitters, and I always saw you
Mhm.
reading a book. I'm like, this guy, he gets it, he gets it. So I have a question: book, movie, or TV character that's most like you?
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
There's this
Oh man.
there's this girl who's like just an amazing public speaker and talks about just connecting with people, and she actually recommended this question if you really want to get to know someone.
That is an absolutely incredible question. I'm looking through my bookshelf right now. I don't. Let's see. I mean, there. I feel like there's going to be no matter what, there's an element of ego. To no matter what main character of a book you give, there's always something in there. Um, but someone we talked about this a lot today. I think it's topical. I will say, Kaladin, one of the lead characters of the Stormlight Archive trilogy. I'm really trying to follow that journey before destination mindset. Um, his arc throughout the books without spoiling anything is so much of I'm gonna get knocked down, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna reach my bottom. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down, it's how many times you pick yourself back up again and keep going. So that journey, that ability to take a rest and keep moving on is something I'm bringing to my life, and I will gladly claim Kaladin as my spirit character from a book.
Great answer. Great answer. Favorite like form of expression. It could be dance, it could be playing music, it could be acting, it could be writing, it could be filmmaking. What's your I it's terrible to even put. It's like a sin to even ask you this question, but I'm gonna
I
ask it.
love doodling. I love cooking. I love doodling. I like getting out a big piece of paper, putting on some ASMR, and just drawing whatever lines come into my head.
I love it. I love it. All right, Mr. Josh,
Mm-hmm.
you live an incredibly abundant, beautiful life where you fall in love and you get married, kids and you have grandkids and you have a beautiful dog family of amazing, just you're surrounded with so much love. You tell stories. You do everything that you want to accomplish in this world as you do. You live to be 133 years old. You just absolutely knock it out of the park in this lifetime. But your time is up. Whatever happens in that next, carnation is you move on. And people attend your funeral. What do you want people to say about you at your funeral, and how do you want to be remembered? Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Great smile.
Mm,
If people see a picture of me and they smile, then I've done something right.
that's real. That's beautiful. And you do have a great smile. Anyone who can't see it, it's real. All right, and then finally, um, there's a kid who's like 16 in high school trying to figure out what they want to do with life. Nobody should have it figured out at 16, but they're kind of interested in this pursuit of acting and storytelling, and they have a voice, but they don't necessarily um haven't tapped in to be able to speak their truth and speak what they believe in. And they're just trying to again figure it out. And they're kind of lost. What advice do you have to someone who's curious about tapping into the space of creativity, but is also a little lost in life and just trying to figure it out? What would you say to them?
um, you are valid. Keep creative. No, don't let anybody tell you that your ideas don't have a place, and try to find people who feel the same way about you as you feel about yourself, and the product will get made. We'll find a way.
Mhm.
I believe that no school, no training, no anything will ever get in the way of somebody who wants to tell a story. If you think you have a story to tell, find a way to tell it.
Snaps on that. Snaps on that. Snaps on that. Bro, I like knew you before this, but now I'm like, you're amazing, dude. Again, so blessed to freaking I've had this conversation, to have you in my life, fellow guy in New York, man, and just I'm so excited to see what you do next and all the
Thank
projects
you.
coming forward, man, and just the impact you're gonna leave behind, dude. It's gonna be there's no ceiling, bro. There's no
Let's
ceiling. We
go.
don't know what that journey is gonna look like, but a lot of things can change in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, you're amazing, and I'm just feeling real blessed right now, feeling real blessed. But before I let you go, let the audience know where can we find you, where can we support you?
Yeah, I mean Joshua.Krol on social medias. I don't really do like an actor's social media. It's my life. My life is in my art, so it's one and the same. Sorry, it's not very businessy, but that's
That
that.
does that even have a business actors account? Is that a thing? I mean,
Yeah, I mean you could just register it as like a business account, so I can like put my email and my thing, I guess.
but your link
But
tree is also in your Instagram. So if
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah. I got my link tree in there. That has everything. I gotta update that. I think the only thing that's out of date is the website. I don't have a website anymore. I call that's a hot take. I feel like my Instagram does everything my website would anyway.
Bro, I was spending I was spending like $30 a month and I like wasn't really using it. And I was just like, I was going through my bank statements like for tax season this year. And I'm like, I just spent like a lot of money on this website that I never really used just to like
Yeah.
have it. And I kind of, so I'm like, but then same thing, dude. Like I have like my resume, like I have IMDb, I have like
Yeah.
Instagram, which really showcases a lot of stuff. So it's tricky.
Yeah, I guess it like gives you an air of like professional business guy, but that's not me. I'm not that kind of I'm not that guy, pal. I'm not that guy.
Yeah. All right, y'all. You're here. Heard it here first. The Joshua Krol, bro. Thank you so much for being on here, bro. So much fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.